జాతీయవాద జర్నలిజానికి అసలైన వేదిక నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్ ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. నోటిఫికేషన్స్ కోసం బెల్ ఐకాన్ పై క్లిక్ చేయండి.
Why? Because the world today needs direction, world needs leadership, world needs a strategy, a collective strategy as never before. And there are very, very good reasons for that. The global situation, as we take up the G20, is today perhaps more concerning than it has been for a very, very long time. There are four big issues in the world. One, all of us are familiar with the impact of the COVID pandemic. Now, we all know the COVID pandemic as something which came from some other country. It has affected all of us. I think there is nobody in the room who would not have directly experienced, or family member or friends. Many of us have suffered losses. But please think about the impact of the COVID on the global economy. What happened with COVID was, the entire world discovered that we are all depending on one country, one region, to supply many of the essential goods for the world. That in the name of globalization, we actually created a very over-centralized economic system, and this has, when it breaks down, has created very, very serious problems. So the world today is looking for, it's like in business. Nobody in business, even if you're a small business, nobody depends on a single supplier, because God forbid something happens. But what happened to the world? The world actually, somewhere in all the propaganda and the myth and the delusion and the attractiveness of globalization, everybody went in one direction. And what has today happened is, there is a search across the world for more suppliers, for reliable suppliers, for multiple suppliers. And this is today a very big issue which is affecting the global economy. A related issue, because the COVID put a lot of stress on the economies of different countries. We have seen in our own region, every one of our neighbors is having some difficulty, some more severe, some less severe. Now, the debt issue has become a very serious issue. That there are today more than 75 countries in the world who are having serious problems meeting their debt obligations. But you can't solve the debt issue if you do not reform the financial system. So that goes to the next area. And in all of this, what is security? We think in terms of when we say security, we say, okay, economic security is important. But economic security is not only the state of your finances. When COVID happened, and we discovered that, in fact, a lot of things we had to import from abroad. There was a period when even masks, when PPEs, when ventilators, when intermediates and basics for base materials for even pharmaceuticals, all these were coming from abroad. Today, I think the world has learnt a lesson that security means not only physical security, not only economic security, it also means health security, it means food security. So we today have to find a way of de-risking the global economy. The way we would de-risk a sector, the way we would de-risk a business. And that is a very major debate, and I would say a very major concern of what the G20 would be looking at. The second concern is, of course, from Ukraine conflict. The Ukraine conflict is already something which is hugely damaging, because in this era, the destruction, the casualties, all of you have seen pictures of it. But Again, look at the bigger consequences of the Ukraine conflict. As a result, oil prices have doubled, food prices have gone up, fertilizer has become not only more expensive, but sometimes even difficult for many countries to get. At least in our country, Modi government has ensured fertilizer prices have not gone up. Modi government has tried to cushion the consumer as much as possible, even from petrol price increases. And we have tried to see how to keep inflation down. But the reality is, many other countries, many other governments are not able to do this. So if you go around the world and ask people, what is your big concern today? Why are you worried about Ukraine? They will say, yes, we are against the war. But they will also say, we have issues with food, we have issues with fertilizer, we have issues with fuel, their cost, and this is also something the G20 has to look at.